And let's see if we go live on Facebook too. You're okay with waiting one more minute?
No problem.
Marvin, you're going live on Facebook. You know what that is?
What's that?
He's putting you live on Facebook. Do you know what that is?
Oh, I'm turning my video off.
Oh, no, it's fine. Oh, do you prefer I don't? Okay.
No, just, I don't, whatever.
Nightly Learning and Omer. Go live. Go live anyway. Okay. So welcome to this new installment. Tonight's, we'll be learning for just a little bit and then counting the Omer. We'll be doing two different learning cycles. On Monday nights, I'll be teaching from the Shelah, Rabbi Isiah Levi Horrowitz, whose magnum opus, Shnei Luchot HaBrit, was a mix of halacha, Kabbalah, and other things, which was an important summary of the halacha at that point. We're talking contemporaneous with Rav Yosef Karo and the Shulchan Aruch, same time, but also a forerunner to the Hasidim. A lot of the Hasidim based their teachings on that of the Shelah. And Rav Kook in Israel, the great first chief rabbi, Avram Yitzchak Cohen Kook, prayed from his Siddur with his kavanot, his intentions. He's a very influential figure in both the legal and mystical traditions. Rabbanit Avital on Wednesday nights will be doing Pirkei Avot, of more fame and a little less obscure. And we'll be doing this until Shavuot. Tonight's learning is in memory of all of the Israeli soldiers. It's Yom HaZikaron. I feel like it would be a sacrilege not to acknowledge that fact, who have sacrificed and given their lives for Jewish sovereignty and self-governance, independence, the greatest miracle imaginable in Jewish history, which we live in. It's easy to forget that for the vast majority of Jewish history, Jews would have considered this situation, even with the coronavirus, to be remarkably better than the circumstances they lived under. And with that, I'm not a historian, I don't know if that's true, but I suspect that that's true. So I wanted to just start tonight with this first teaching about Shavuos. It says as follows, Yachshov b'ma'amad Har Sinai. We're thinking now about the giving of the Torah, Har Sinai. Ki anachnu kulanu haynu sham v'kabalnu ha-Torah. We all were there and received the Torah. So we're used to thinking about this in Passover and the Seder, like everyone was free. But the Shelah is extending that thinking to Shavuos. You know, everyone was at Har Sinai, or as the dating website made more famous, saw you at Sinai. Yes? Baruch shevdilanu minatuim v'nasam lanu toras emes v'chayil lam tabizolchenu. So he's opening up with a kind of prayer. Thank God we got the Torah and we're separated from everyone else, okay? V'yachshov, a person should think on Shavuos. What should you think? Cheesecake, blintzes, quarantine. That face to face God spoke to us. And we should think about the oath that he swore us. So it's like a court when you're getting sworn in. You have to raise your right hand, right? We were sworn an oath. We were all sworn in. We're all standing at Har Sinai, sworn in. So this is a different scene for everyone going there and taking an oath. Just think things like that based on the Gemara and Yuma, that you were sworn in at Har Sinai to this. And you should become full of fear, like horrible quaking fear, like a Quaker. And this should purify your heart. Ka'elu, you should make a resolution, not at New Year's, but at Shavuos. Ata bazayom kibel Torah. And this day I received the Torah. It's lahev b'libo latbi'a aval Hashem yisbarach lovdo b'simcha v'tuv levav. So you should make a resolution that day to root in your heart to love God and to serve Him with joy and good cheer. So that's the first thing the Shelah says in this, which is his third chapter on Shavuot, but I think essential. And now at teaching, you can so the first thing is, to summarize, sworn in to Har Sinai, and I'll make it sworn into what? And why is he saying that you should imagine this? Is almost like an image, because this is a hard thing to do, because obviously you weren't there, right? You were born, I don't know what year you were born. Donnie, 1985, Marvin, 1992. You're a young millennial. And so we weren't there in any tangible sense, maybe a prior iteration of our soul and another reincarnation. So what were you sworn into? If you had to think of it, or does this resonate?
Well, our ancestors were there, so we're sworn into the covenant.
The covenant, okay. Zachag nikra chag Shavuot. Marvin, did you want to say something?
No, I was just going to say to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Ah,
okay. So Chotz Moshe Hakadosh Baruch Hu Emet, right? The seal of God is truth, and Hashem Elokeichem Emet. God is a God of truth, and the Torah is a Torat Emet, right? Torat Emet, we call it,
That's
V'chei Olam. So that's it too, right? To tell the truth, regardless of the pressures, of the consequences. That's what you have to do in court, right? This festival is called the Festival of Weeks. Hashoresh hu Sheva. The root of Shavuot is this shoresh of 7, right? Which is the root of week, because the week has 7 days. Roshe Tevot. So what does Sheva stand for? This is like good take-home Torah. It stands for Shavuot, weeks. Bikurim, first fruits. Atzeret, closing. So Shavuot is a 3-fold holiday. It's a 7-week holiday, the Feast of Weeks. It's the first fruit. It's the day when the Bikurim were brought, right? And they make the decree that comes with the first fruit that's outlined in Parshat Ki Tavo. And Atzeret, it's the closing to Pesach. So Sheva stands for Shavuot, Bikurim, Atzeret. Do you see that?
Yep.
It's a new one. People know Elul, Anila Dodili, but people don't know Shavuot, Bikurim, Atzeret. V'estakel ma shekatavti lamali b'chag hazeh, ki nitztarfu b'matan Torah shenitna b'Shabbat, so Gimel Shabbatot. And this corresponds to 3 different Shabboses. Because, it says Sheva Shabbatot Tmimot Tihiana in the count. Should count 7 full weeks, but it doesn't say Shavuot, it says Shabbatot, 7 Sabbaths. That's the way. So the Shelah says, there are 3 kinds of Shabbos in life. There's Shabbos Bereishis, the Sabbath of creation. God created for 6 days, and on the 7th, Vayinafash, he rested. Shabbat Matan Torah, the Sabbath of the giving of the Torah. Tradition is that this occurred that year on a Shabbat. So that's the Shabbat of Revelation. And Shabbat Olam Haba. Now you should note maybe that actually these 3, the Amidas of Shabbos correspond. The Friday night Amidah is all about this notion of Shabbos Bereishis, that God rested. The Saturday morning Amidah, Yismach Moshe b'matanav chelko ki eved neman karasalo. What did Moshe rejoice at? The Shabbos Amidah goes into Moshe received, and why? Because the tradition is Moshe received the Torah Shabbos morning. So that's why Shabbos morning Shachar is about Moshe receiving the Torah. Shabbos Olam Haba is Mincha, right? Is all about the Shabbatot. It's even in the plural in the language of the future that will be sort of perfect. Hu bemet Shabbat Hagadol. And that's really what Shabbos Hagadol is. V'inyan Shabbat Bereishis Amoral Shiva Yemei Bereishis. So what do these 3 things mean? The 3 different symbols. The first one talks about Shiva Yemei Bereshit, the 7 days of creation. V'chiyuv ha'sfira Sheva Shavuot l'mamane yomei yoshvu emora Asoda Bria. So the fact that we have to count 7 weeks, days and weeks, right? We don't just count the weeks, but we count the days and the weeks when we count the Omer. So the fact that you, Lamane Yome Ushvu, that you, in Aramaic you count days and weeks, is because we're really referencing Sod Habria, the secret of creation. It's about creation. So this is a holiday in some sense that celebrates creation. It's like the Great Shabbos. We're celebrating the natural world. Achrekin Nikra Bikurim. And then after the second of the letters, so Shavuot is about creation. It's about Shabbat. The Bet, Bikurim, Neged Matan Torah, Sheviu Shtei Alechem Mechitim. So first fruit is really the giving of Torah, which we celebrate on Shavuot by bringing the sacrifice are 2 loaves of wheat bread. Not sourdough, maybe? Everyone's making a sourdough starter these days, probably sourdough. That was the only kind of bread they had then. So 2 sourdough loaves made of wheat. V'chita ola kaf bet keneged otiot Torah. The gematria of wheat, if you take it, is 8 and 9, 17, and 5 is 22, which is the number of letters in the Hebrew alphabet. So wheat isn't just, it's like a fruit, but Torah is like a fruit. So let's just pause there. How is Torah like fruit in this metaphor? How is Torah like fruit?
That's a good question.
Torah like that's what he's saying. The Torah is like fruit. So he's saying Torah is like fruit because the gematria of wheat, which is a form of fruit here in the broad sense of like food, is the gematria of wheat, which is the sacrifice of Shavuot, is the letters of the Torah, is 22. Okay, but he's trying to get at something deeper.
I'm too shallow.
So,
sweet.
What, Rena?
Torah is sweet.
The Torah is sweet on Shavuot, right? The Torah is sweet. It also is practical, meaning fruit is what you eat to live. So it's like alo ala lachem levado yechya adam. You don't only live by bread. The Torah is how you live. It's the fruit of life. So it's not just a luxury pursuit. It's a necessity for good living. We think about food, especially now, where it's like you have to strategize to get your food. The 2 loaves of bread signify the written Torah and the oral Torah in this sacrifice. Achrekin nikret atzeret. Finally, the last of Shavuot is called atzeret, which means closing time, to quote Green Day. V'zeu b'sod sodei hasvirot haromiz l'sod shmitot v'yovlot. This closing has to deal with the closing of the whole count. We're counting 4950 days. And 4950 has to deal with the basic idea of Shemitah and Yovel, that we engage in cycles of Sabbath and rest that ultimately result in freedom. So the idea here, I would suggest, is one of gradual. It says my connection is unstable. Can everyone hear?
Most of the time.
Sometimes.
Okay. The basic idea here is Sfiras Omer, gradual self-improvement. So I'll just end with this. V'kidash temet shnata chamishit, and you sanctify the 50th year. So the 3 kind of ideas of Shavuot are creation, appreciating God's creation, are fruit, appreciating the Torah, but also the practical things that we live with, the first fruit, but the Torah itself, which is given on that day. We think of those things as separate, the Torah and the fruit, like the agriculture and the religious historical thing, but he's linking them in Bikurim. And then Atzeret, finally. This is a holiday of just having finished the Omer count, which is really a time of gradual self-improvement. He's talking about on a national level, where we free all the slaves and set the land back. But the basic idea is to free ourselves from our vices. We've just done this Omer count, and the idea is that Pesach is a fake. So this is the last thing I'll close by saying. We think we're free on Pesach, but the Omer teaches us what? That it doesn't work like that. You miraculously get free, but then you're not in that place. So a good analog would be everyone is writing essays these days about how when this ends, when we're unquarantined and there's a vaccine and all is well again in the world, we're going to learn all these lessons. People are going to respect their elders and revere synagogues and prioritize FaceTime and run away from screens and all of these wonderful things that will happen since we've been put in this odd situation. But what the Torah would say, arguably, is that that's not true. That these things which intervene from the outside are not sufficient to really change our behavior. We need long, extended 50-year periods of gradual and standardized self-improvement to make it. So that's what we've got from the Shelah tonight. Four things. First, Torah is like getting sworn in. I swear to tell the whole truth, the truth, nothing but the truth at Har Sinai. And we should think on Shavuot, not just that our ancestors did it, but we're doing it. And that Shavuot is really about these three concepts, which are represented even in the root of Sheva, Shavuot, counting the Shabbatot, the Sabbaths, the Bikurim, the fruit of Torah, and Atzeret, the closing, sort of the end of a whole period of gradual self-improvement, all referenced in Shavuot. So that's what we've got tonight from the Shelah. Hope this gets you in the Shavuot mood. Maybe, and with that, we'll count the Omer. By my count, which I hope is right, because I've just been counting. Last night was 18.
Correct.
Correct.
Everyone is at? Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu al sfiras ha'omer.
Amen.
Hayom teshasrei yom ben shnei Shavuos v'chamisha yamim ba'omer.
Shayamim lahom.
And as they say in the prayer, Harachamanu Yachazir Lanu, may God return to us. Avodat Beit HaMikdash Bimkoma Bimhirav Yaminu Amen Saleh. Thank you everyone for joining in this first installment of We're Counting the Omer and learning some stuff. And also it's really good to see everyone.
Thank you.
We'll
Thank
leave
you
the channel
very much.
open.
Yeah.
I see you
Nice
too.
night, everyone.
And if folks, I'll stop the recording now, but if folks want to continue to hang out here without being recorded or on Facebook